To answer this question, like how am I thinking about Sirji's IDE? Let's look at a very high level, from a very high level, what Sirji would do. So we have a user, and then you have Sirji, who is your software developer. Now, the user would tell Sirji about certain requirements that they need to develop the software for. For that, Sirji, as a software developer, needs a development environment or an IDE, basically. So Sirji, since it's an AI software, it needs to be able to address needs of multiple users. That means you need to have different environments for each kind of project, right? So if I have to define the requirements of Sirji's IDEs, I would start with isolation. By isolation, I mean Sirji should be able to work on multiple projects without needing to set up a local environment. Second, it must be able to share the environment across various end users. The second point I would focus on would be the scalability and configurability. So certain projects require uh, system configuration, which could be your EC2s, and others require high GPU for example, machine learning, right? So each project can have varying hardware and software needs depending upon the scale of the project. Each project must have an isolated environment and it must allow use of different dependencies and configurations. The third thing that we should consider is accessibility and collaboration. Surgery must be able to collaborate with the end user and share the development environment as well as the deployed version. So these should be the high level requirements for Surgery's IDs. This sounds very similar to our everyday needs of a software developer. And I'm glad it does so because Surgery itself is a software developer, right? So uh, if I think about solving this problem, one of the ways to address it would be to leverage on CodeSpace. Now, CodeSpace provides a collaborative remote development environment for software developers. After digging around a bit, I found that CodeSpace can be a self-hosted solution as well, which is open source. So why I like CodeSpace in particular is because CodeSpace is under the hood, it runs a Visual Studio Code server, which can connect to your browser editors, browser IDs, for example, Visual Studio or Browser Edition, or the IDs like JetBeans and Visual Studio Code itself, which can run on your local machine. Now, what that means is, since that server is located inside the development environment, while Surgery can interact with that VS Code server to perform the codes and to perform various executions on the development environment, the same output and the same files can be shared with the user in a, and this whole environment is sandboxed altogether. So it provides security as well as a proper sharing mechanism for between Surgery as well as the user.